easy team, Mer. Well guys, it's Tuesday, it's pizza and fishing night, but minus the pizza tonight. It's too hot for pizza. It's been hot today, hotter than a crackhead spoon on payday today. 30 degrees today, 32 yesterday, absolutely sweltering. But we made it, and we managed to get the rods out without fainting. Earlier was a bit of an effort. So Sunday, on my departure, I popped a few boilies by the tree and some in the pads, and also put some in toilet on the way out. And I poked my head in toilet on the way in today. Again, fucking barren. All what was in there was rudd and roach. So yeah, I decided to jump back in here. Let's fish about. I've seen a couple of rings in the pads over to my right, and there's been some activity going on by the tree. I'm not too sure whether it's just silvers at the minute, but the rods have been dancing away. So yeah, normal positions resumed, to be fair. Two towards the tree on just heli safe big fish mix Ronnies, and then the same towards the pads, but I ain't gone too heavy with it this evening. Judging by like the last session, I didn't really want much in the evening, and it was just a really short period in the morning that we're having it, so I ain't gone too heavy. I've just put about half a scoop in the little boat and just dribbled them sort of pretty much a foot apart, just side by side, just off the tree. And then this one's over towards the pads. I've split the pod up, so it looks like I'm doing a bit of pike fishing. But the beauty with this RP1, which some of you have noticed, is you can pull the sticks out the pod, set them up as singles, and then you just fold the arms back in so they're out of the way. And I'll just put a couple of bank sticks in just to give it a bit more security, because the ground's a bit dry. It's not much purchase into the ground, but and as I fish them quite tight, but she's pretty solid. But yeah, it's puckered out. I'll have to go through that with you one time. It's really good. I'm really impressed with the RP1, if you can get them. It took me ages to find a second-hand one, obviously. Yeah, I weren't buying a new one, not that fucking money, so I kept my eyes out for a second-hand one, and it took ages for a second-hand one to come up sort of within a reasonable distance. Do you know what I mean? But I'm well happy with that. So yeah, we're fishing a little bit earlier than last time. Managed to get the rods out without fainting, didn't I? And so they can be settled a good couple of hours before the sun goes down. You never know, you might get a little chance just as the sun goes down. But I'm just about to Eric Bristow in somewhere around a tree, so come with me and I'll show you the little spot round the corner. It's only a little short walk, just round here, just to this little bit here. And if I hold the thing up, you should be able to see the tree just there. Now what we do, we just whip them out from here, one at a time. So I've got a mixture. So I'm using trigger 15s, big fish mix 15s, and then I've got a few solubles in the pair of them, in and amongst the mix. They're doused in that sludge business, and doused in the stick mix as well. And I've been marinating overnight, pretty much. And then in the boat, I've just got maize, pellet, stick mix, and a few tens, and again that's been marinating, and a few oils and what have you. And that, my friends, is us baited up. Job's a good one. I've got my bucket lid here. I cut my knee the weekend on the bark, so I'm just kneeling on a bucket lid. So a fish just come out right close in down to my right, but I can't fish there. I just lose the fish when there's a bit of carnage in the corner. Perhaps if I was sat on my rod in the day, I'd put it there. But it literally just comes straight out. Give it the old whoop, 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 bush. Big old commotion, the squeaks from the birds, the lot. It was a nice fish, a nice big mirror it was. But I'm not actually fishing that far from it. So there's that one that's come out, and there's another one's come out in the pads. So but this one, where I'm fishing to the pads, but they're sort of like an arc. So it just gives me them vital seconds just to get to the rod. The rod's obviously locked up. I'll get a couple of beeps, couple of free beeps on this, and I know there's a fish on. But yeah, it just gives me them vital seconds just to get out and grab hold of it before it gets too far into the pads. They'll always make the pads. But yeah, so no sloppy spools or anything like that when you're fishing to snags. But I always like to fish where I can extract a fish from. You know, I could put a rod down there and leave it out all night, but it's just going to buckle the rod round and just go into a load of carnage. You know, I'm either going to lose tackle, or you know, have to deal with a boat. You're going to lose the fish. So I always try and fish where, you know, I've got a good chance of getting the fish from. Otherwise, there's no point in fishing for them. Certainly don't want to be leaving in tackling fish, having snap ups and all the rest of it. You know, it's not fishing at all costs. So I always fish where, you know, you've got a fair chance of getting the fish from. But yeah, you can always fish to snags and reeds and pads. Just fish locked up. Decent line. I've got 18 pound on here, 0.40 with a leader. It's decent tackle to be able to give it some welly to, you know, get it out of the pads. If it does go in the pads, which it most probably will, there's a meter leader on it just to give you a bit of a buffer, just to get it out of the pads. But yeah, there's definitely fish about, and I've had a tench on this rod as well. So I was just sat on the bed, just looking out, and it boop, boop, and then it come back down. It boop, boop. It didn't take line, obviously, because it's locked up, but the line pulled tight. I picked it up and I could feel it. It was like bump, 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 bump. It was very tenchy. I got it about halfway in with not any stress whatsoever, and it come off, but I could tell it was a tench, and it was on just long enough just to fucking take the edge off the hook. So I changed the hook, changed the bait, and I've just put it straight back out where I caught that tench from. I don't mind too much because it tells me that the spot's accessible, and I can present a bait there. So that's one plus about catching that tench. So we've got two rods I definitely know that can produce a take, and that one obviously now I know it can produce a take. So we've got three rods fishing that are effectively, so that's good. So anyway, guys, I've had a little purchase, right? So my sling, I really should move the camera up, shouldn't I? 2 seconds. How's that? Is that better? That's better. Saves me bending down, doesn't it? So anyway, my retainer sling, it was getting a bit worse for wear. I've had it a while. The foam was coming out the end, as the handle was broken. The zip's getting a bit, you know, worse for wear. So I have had my eye out for a new sling for a little while, but I don't know what one to get. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I see this one on Facebook. So this one's the One More Cast Heist PB sling retainer, and I watched his little adverts. You know, he's a bit eccentric, isn't he? But I'll tell you what, I really like the look of this, and I thought, you know what, that is the one for me. So this is the One More Cast retainer sling. It's quite big, as you can see. There's nothing in here that's going to fill this sling up, I know. But comes in its little stink baglet that you're probably never going to put back in it. But what made me like this one is the free flow marine grade mesh. Yeah, so you haven't got like the cotton mesh like you would on all my other slings. This is like a rubber mesh. I love the fact that the water just can pass through it with ease. And to be fair, I don't buy much of Ali's stuff, but what I have bought of is really good. You know, I know he brings out stuff which is questionable to say the least, but this, I mean, obviously I've had it out of the bag and had a look at it. It's actually really good. You know, there's a little pocket with your cord there and another one the other end. You've got some glow in the dark jobbies there just in case you lose it, just in case it floats off in the middle of the night. You can see it in the middle of the fucking lake, can't you? But no, it's I like it. So yeah, that is the One More Cast Heist PB sling. It's a retainer. So not that I retain fish for long, but in the summer I very rarely do it because the water. In the spring, winter, because the water's up. If I get a fish, I normally just leave it in the net, put a peg on the spreader block, and just leave it in there until I've set my camera up. But the one the weekend, because the water's dropped, it was it literally nearly jumped out the net. This thing, and I was like, oh, another little fish jumped out there. It yeah, so I just popped it in the retainer for 10 minutes. Certainly don't leave them in for long periods. Certainly not this weather. But I don't keep fish overnight neither. I'll do night shots. It's just there's no point. The photos for me, 9 times out of 10 I can get a decent photo at night, and that's good enough for me. So yeah, just short period as possible in the retainer while I set my gear up, and they come out, have a snap, and away they go. Healthier than when I caught them, because we always treat them, don't we? But yeah, it was time for a new sling, because you got to try and do your best you can to keep them nice and keep them safe. And my sling was getting a bit worse for wear, and I thought, you know what, it's time for a new one. So, but no, happy with that. But so yeah, we've had a tench on that. I've had a fish jump there, a fish jump in the pads, one literally just down there. These were singing and dancing earlier. They've quietened down somewhat now. I'm pointing at them, you can't see them. Yeah, these were dancing earlier, but I think it might have just been little fish just smashing little bits and pieces up. But they've quietened down somewhat. But there's fish in the area, so that's a plus, you know. So that's us. We can't do any more than cross our fingers, and hopefully we get a steamer at some point, won't we? So anyway, guys, that's the PB sling. That's us caught up just as it's getting dark, and I'll see you soon. Right, guys, so yeah, it's quietened down somewhat. So obviously I used a little boat to drop them at the tree and the one to the pads. Excuse me. In the mix, okay, there was maize, like a party blend, bit of particle in there. Excuse me. So yeah, there's a party blend, particle in there, pellets, stick mix, some crushed boilie, and some 10 mils. Okay, had them marinating in like the boilie booster, a bit of stinger oil, and some of the sludge. Where is that sludge? This is the sludge I'm on about. It's this stuff. Now, because it's so thick, the bottle lasts forever. You really have to like squidge it out. I mean, in the summer, in the winter, you literally have to be fucking Hercules to get it out of the fucking bottle. But what you want to do with that, on the way to your lake, just put it on your dash. Not that you use a lot of oils in the winter anyway, but it's really clingy, you know. I love it. I think it's brilliant. So I don't think what's happened is you drop the boat, and there's so abundance of silvers in here. There's literally hundreds of thousands of silverfish in Charlie's. You see them in the edge in the summer, and it'll, I mean, one on each rod. It will look like a ball of weed, and it isn't. It's just literally 1,000 little fish. Just so there's hundreds of thousands, literally, in Charlie's. And I think what happens is when you drop the boat, they come in and just smash it all up. There's bits floating about, and they're knocking the line, and you get a lot of indication for about an hour or so, and then it sort of tails off, and all the bigger bits are sort of left. So I think perhaps might be worth my while literally just fishing boilies and sort of chops, something like that. But I don't mind the little fish so much because, you know, it's all attraction. Because at the end of the day, you bait and what have you. You've got attractants in it to attract fish, and I think personally, the small fish coming in and having it large and all the rest of it, it's all working in your favour. So as long as I don't pick your rig up, and because I've obviously nailed a few roach this year, and which are just flukes, obviously. It's a bit of a pain in the arse when it's a bit of a ball ache to get the rig out, but they are flukes. So, but as a rule, it has quietened down somewhat. But there's definitely fish about and in the area, so it's looking good. We're getting a bit of cloud cover tonight, not much, but we have no chop now. Weekend, big chop. Always love a chop. So we have no chop now. But you know, I haven't put too much in the boat, so just enough for a bite. So I'm sort of thinking either one within the next sort of hour, just into the dark. If that don't materialise, I'm hoping we're going to get a tug in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah. So as it's gone quiet, I thought what we'd do is we'd do story time with Keith, right? So I had a little story on my last fucking blog, didn't I? About turning up, fishing kevs, thinking I was terrier and all the fucking rest of it. And then I turned my attentions to toilet. And someone actually commented on the blog, in the comments, that I need to bore you about toilet in the next blog. Well, obviously this is the next blog, so I could actually sit here and bore you about toilet. So what I'm going to do, I'll see how long it is when I'm finished, and I'll tell you how far you've got to forward wind the blog to skip it, because it's probably going to be well boring, right? So anyway, toilet now is obviously absolutely beautiful. It's the most picturesque sort of carpiest swim out, right? And it was never like that at all. It was like a bit of a turtle, you know. But when I took over a few years gone back now, all the swims were a bit of in sort of disrepair. I need a drink. 2 seconds. Yeah, so all the swims were in a bit of a disrepair, and some of them weren't very safe and all the rest of it. So myself and a little team, over a period of sort of like 4 or 5 weeks, come in. We smashed all the swims about, and we done what we could with the resources that we had, and we made them all much better. We put sleepers on and build them up, and just made them a bit more comfortable, you know, and a bit more pleasurable. That's the word. Yeah, it just stopped them being so awkward, you know, because I think that's what was happening. The swims were a bit awkward. The members didn't like it, you know. You needed wellies and shit. So we sorted them all out. Fucking hell, I thought there was someone walking down the fucking path then. And toilet, I left, right? So, and it was a plan, yeah, because toilet was a fucking shithole in the winter. You couldn't even get in it. It was just underwater by 2 or 3 feet. So we done all this, took on some members and existing members, and they all started fishing this. And then toilet, I decided to go to town. So what you see now in toilet, okay, is me. That is my ideal carp swim peg, yeah? If I was to imagine a peg, like my ultimate peg, that is toilet. little bit of water, intimate. You can fucking slip her down, fucking plop them in there, you know, stay back and all the rest of it. And then when you get a belter, it's hit and hold stuff. That's what a toilet is. It's fucking brilliant. But you've got to be so quiet. That's why I don't blog in toilet. I'm always up on the bank or in the van, because if you start shouting your mouth in there, that's it. They just see you later. So, me and toilet, my infatuation with toilet started a long time ago, right? We're talking probably now, it's probably been about seven years ago, my infatuation with toilet. So I started with digging it all up, raising it all up, making it all fucking nice so you could get in there with a bivvy and all the rest of it. But before then, in that summer, I managed to put a bit of bait in there, slip it down on the quiet, sneak in there without anyone looking, and I managed to catch the apple and another couple of fish just before winter kicked in. And then the next spring is when I sort of took over, and I got in there with the boat, dragged a load of weed out, put it in the boat and took it out. Spent a good couple of days because it was proper shitty in there. Took all the weed out and all the rest of it while the water was sort of fairly down. And then the winter took over, the water come up, and then we built the swims. So I started, I ain't gonna lie, right? I was thumping it in toilet on the quiet, and I mean thumping it in there. I was giving him so much bait twice a week. I'd keep my eye on it, see if there's any fish in there, and then I dribbled down one time and the fish were in there, right? It was like brown. Bearing in mind that back then the water weren't dyed and it was crystal clear and you could see the bottom and the edge. It was fucking brown like a jacuzzi. There was fish everywhere, stuffing their face, right? That night, I had a job to keep 2 rods in the water. It was like literally, I put one out and I was like, when am I putting this in? They were everywhere. I literally just plopped it in, picked up my second rod, that was gone. Like instantly, right? But because it was so chocolate and coloured, they weren't spooking the rest of the fish because the rest of the fish didn't know what was going on because they couldn't see. So to cut a long story short, I had 10 runs in toilet that night, and no big uns though. They're all sort of like up to I think 22, something like that, but loads of fish. And so I just kept on rinsing, repeating. And there were at times where they weren't in there, but most of the time you could nick a fish out of toilet, right? And I remember having Paddy in there. So these are the A team, right? I had Paddy in there, which was one of my first sort of the A team. I haven't had the apple for a long time, to be fair. She's due. So I had Paddy in there, Frank when he weren't as big out of there, Terry in toilet. Obviously Demi was one that eluded me for a long time, and that was one of the sort of last fish of the last A team fish that I caught at the toilet was Demi, and I'll always remember that night because it's crystal clear. And basically you had Paddy and Demi. We don't think Paddy's in here anymore, sadly, but there were 2 big ghosties, Patrick and Demi. Ghost, that's where they get their names from, but I called him Paddy. But Demi had a smaller tail, and you could tell the difference in them. And yeah, I remember having Demi in toilet, and it was just like, I don't get flustered that often, but that got me heart going, that one, when I had Demi. But yeah, so we had all the A team out of toilet, and I kid you not, I've probably had, I mean, I'm beating my chest here, it's not what I'm about, but I've literally had probably 70% of the fish in Charlie's out of toilet swim over the course of those 7 years. And I think now, I think perhaps maybe I might be reading this into this too much, but I've been putting bait in toilet, and so's Phil, and I think perhaps they might be associating the swim with danger, if that makes sense, because there's nothing going down there like there used to be. I had a little flurry in the spring, caught 4 or 5, didn't I, out of toilet, but they're not awake properly, they're not woken up, they're still a bit docile, aren't they? But so yeah, I don't know what's going on with toilet. Perhaps I've just had too many fish out of toilet and now they're wised up to it. But normally the bait does the talking, and at the end of the day it's a wild animal, you know. If there's food down there, they get down there and eat it. So but yeah, had some really good nights in toilet. Love it. it's this proper sneaky fishing, and you can do it in the spring, and obviously because I fish nights, spring and sort of like late autumn, I guess what it is, and you're slipping down at sort of 7:30 and it's dark. Does anyone, you guys know about lamping? See, I love lamping, right? I used to lamp on the little lake and lamp in toilet. So if you don't know what lamping is, basically you just shine your fucking head torch in the water, okay, on spots that you've pre-baited, and you will see fish. And for some reason, as long as you move the torch, your head torch, sort of slowly, the fish won't bolt. It won't spook them. So it's a really good way of fishing. So the first time I come across sort of lamping is in Meadow, right? It's a little lake, it's about 2 acres, and it's rammed full of sort of like 5 to sort of 10 pounders, okay? I spent a couple of weeks just thumping particle in the edge. I got in there and cleared all the weed out in the edge so I could do this. And I come back a couple of weeks later and I fucking shone my head torch where I'd put the bait for that period of 2 weeks, and I kid you not, there was about 30 carp in the size of my van. Boof, 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 boof. Some eating, some sat there, and I was just like, how do you fish for that? There isn't any room for your rig. So you literally just fucking like lay your fucking rig in between them, a couple of spook off, but there was that many. And that night I think I hung up and I waved a little white flag, didn't I? About midnight, I had about 10 runs, these little pasties, but that's lamping. And I used to do lamping in toilets. I used to put there's a fish. Give me some fucking grief, this one. Fucking hell. Guys, I can. Oh, you can't come off. Bastard. Ah, you little bastard. I felt like a fucking decent one, that did. Ah, gutted. Ah, bollocks. Oh, but fucking windy down south. As you can see, it's pitch black now. It's about 10:30. So obviously I lost that fish. I had a fucking bell arm malfunction when I picked the rod up. I don't know what the fuck happened there. It buckled round and it went underneath the left-hand rod. And as I fucking took it off, I just twatted the fucking rod. That one come off the stand, off the alarm. And I don't know, I just had a bit of a bell arm malfunction for a little split second when I pulled the rod up. And then, I mean, it was literally probably 2 or 3 seconds. You could hear it fucking snatch. Something just weren't fucking right. And yeah, I managed to get it, and he was pulling, and that was a fucking good fish. Yeah, that was the one I've been waiting for, I think. I mean, you don't know, but I've caught enough in here to know what a good fish feels like, and that certainly felt like a fucking good one. That did, guys. And but yeah, he just come off. It was I had to give him a bit of line. He was going in there. It was a bit of a sort of stalemate, if you know what I mean, under the tree. I had the rod low in the water. He didn't get caught up on nothing. And he did actually turn ever so slightly, and then as he turned, he just come off and just reeled fucking rig in. With obviously nothing on it. So I obviously the hook spent. I put the pair of rods back out, refreshed them. The only saving grace, I guess, is that there was still a little bit of light left. I could get the rigs out by the tree nicely, exactly where I want them. But I had one come off for a while, have I? So, and you have it, didn't you? You have stints like that, didn't you? I had it back in the spring where I kept balls and stuff up. You have them come off, and then, you know, I had one sort of come off for a little while, have I? So you win some, you lose some, guys. It's as simple as that, isn't it? It's to be honest with you, I fished pretty much the same rig. I fished spinners in here. under the tree, in and amongst the weed, just because that's the rig I use when I fish pop-ups, you know. And most of them I land. I think you're just unlucky. You just, you know, I know that, oh, the mechanics are great. They'll fucking nail the bottom lip every fucking time and all the rest of it. Yeah, yeah, it will, right? But sometimes, you know, it just don't catch properly. It just nicks them. And I think that's when you pull out a fish, when you've been using a rig over and over again for, I mean, fuck me, I used to use spinners before they were called spinners, guys. Do you know what I mean? Before you had the spinner swivel, we used to knuckle fucking size 8 ring swivels onto the hook with braid and cover it with shrink tube. That was a spinner rig, yeah, the old school style. So so yeah, when you're using a rig for that long and they come off, it's not the rig. It's just unfortunate. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's just it has to be the big one, doesn't it? Because I'm pretty certain that was a decent fish, that one. Fuck it. Still, we've got plenty of time left. You know, it's was it 10:30? What is it? Look at that, 10:30. It's 10:30. So, and we've still got the morning period, haven't we? I mean, I put the two rigs back out, and they haven't made a fucking sound. You know, so like commotion needs to settle now, and yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. So lamping in toilet. I haven't really got the art to fucking carry this on, to be fair. So I used to dribble the bait in the edge, just off the swim. In the winter, it's sort of 6 foot from the edge, and it's actually quite deep in toilet. But yeah, I used to just handball bait in the edge, so when I turned up, I could have a look and see if it was gone, and quite often I'd see them. Just throw some boilies on them, throw some chops on them. Chops is the best thing. Throw chops on fish, and it's just enough just to move them off, but not enough to fucking not enough to spook them. So yeah, just a few chops on them just to move them off, and then just a fucking sly one in there, tiptoeing like the fucking milk tray man. And I'll tell you what, a belter from less than a rod length out is the best, isn't it? It's just like, oh, hell's breaking loose. But anyway, that's toilet, guys. Sorry it banged on so long, but I'm just feeling a bit gutted now, to tell you the truth. I've got a feeling that was a fucking good one. All right. But anyway, it's pitch black. The rods are still out. They're all fishing effectively. Fingers crossed one's going to come back. And we managed to get that one in and test out the PB slinging it. Right, catch up with you soon, guys. Right, it's 10 to 1. And yeah, we got to test out the new sling, guys. If you can see him in there through the side. Yeah, you can, look. See him? That's fucking pucker. Oh, I'm loving it. You can see how the fish is fine. Wicked. I'm gonna take some snaps now. So I'm on selfie mode, by the way. I can't bother to put it on a tripod. So yeah, deadly silent on them two rods for about an hour and a half, something like that. And then yeah, just a couple of indications to let me know that something was around, something was happening for about an hour or so, just like randomly. And then yeah, about 1:45, 20 to 1, something like that. We had the same rod, the same spot. Saying it's the same spot, they're a foot apart. Decided to belt into one. It was a spirited fight. The pads in this place. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll shine the torch on while it's dark and you can see what we've got to contend with. 2 seconds. Yeah, so obviously you can't see all these like underwater cabbages. You can see the pads on the top, sort of in the day, but below them you got all these like cabbages. So you've got to get them through all these cabbage leaves. They come through it all right, you know. You just got to keep the pressure on and don't let them have anything. Don't let them take the piss out of you. But yeah, that's just, the swim's full of them. So yeah, we had a spirited fight from cabbage to cabbage, pretty much down the left-hand flank, because that's where they want to go. If they know if they come out into open water, you've got them. So they just hug the left-hand side, like just darting in the pads, obviously. And after a little battle, we rolled over this lovely mirror. Now, I don't normally take pictures of this side, so that's why I look a little bit awkward in the photo. For some reason, I just prefer to hold the fish the other way around. It's a bit like when you kick a football. Like with my left foot, it just don't feel right. There's just not enough practice in it. So, but this one was so nice. The other side is absolutely immaculate. The other side, there's a couple of little spawning wounds which we rubbed a bit of gear on. But the other side was immaculate. That's why I took a picture of that side. But no, it's a lovely little fish consolation for what happened earlier. And the rod's back out. It's back on exactly the same spot as far as I can see. It's a bit awkward in the dark, obviously. But the other one's obviously a foot next to it, and that ain't far away. It's within a metre, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get my head down now and try and get a couple of hours in and get up about 4 o'clock with anticipation of the morning nom-noms. Team, all is quiet on the morning buffet. I've been up since about 4:10. It's 20 to 6 now. At about, I don't know, 4:30, I had a series of bleeps on the going rod, but it was just a roach that had been hooked in the back. It was just twanging the rod. A couple of seconds, I was like, the fuck? And after a consistent amount of bleeps, I had to grab hold of the rod and just to see what was going on. And I thought it was going to be something like that, and it was just a roach right in the back, a little tiny one about this big. So I threw him back and put the rod back on the money. And then about 15 minutes later, we had a repeat performance. So I was like, so I had to retrieve the rig twice, right at the fucking time of nibble time, which is not the best. So, but to be fair, there hasn't been really much going on outside. It's dead calm. I've seen one patch of bubbles in front of me. Very random sort of patch of that, like a passing gobble. And off he went, just one patch, that's it. Had no fish show at all. So it's a very quiet morning. Apart from mozzies in the fucking ear. Jesus, mate. But they do give it a bit of rain in a few hours, don't they? So the wind's going to get up slightly, so fuck off. The wind's going to get up slightly. We're going to have a bit of rain, so you never know, it might conjure something up. But I'm literally going to see if I can have a doze, because I didn't keep very well last night at all whatsoever. It was horrendous for some reason. So yeah, that's about where we're at a minute, guys. So the average amount of activity this morning is at a low level. It's been very quiet. There's hardly any knocks on the rods at all. I turned them up a bit and all. Turn the sensitivity up, because I always turn them down a bit overnight. I guess it didn't help having to retrieve the rod retrieve the rig at bite time, you know, 4:30. I'll just pull the rig in because there's a roach on it, and then again literally minutes later, and then I'd say a quarter of an hour after that I had quite a vicious drop back on the same rod. I left it for sort of 5 seconds just to see if I could see the line pink. So I picked the rod up, just pulled it in with nothing but a length of braid on it. It's up here. Just pulled it in with a length of braid on it, sort of a couple of metres long. No hook on it or anything, just a random length of braid. So whether my hook's got caught on the braid on the bottom somehow, and then a fish has sort of swam through that braid and moved my rig. That's all I can think of what's happening. But it was sort of twiddled round the hook link. Took a little while to get off it, so unless it was hanging from the tree and I've just, as it's gone in, it's just pulled it up and took it with it. That's probably what's happened, perhaps. But then it looks like it's been on the bottom quite a while. It's sort of black. So unless they've just been in and eating about the silt and just disturbing, and that's a bit of braid that's been in there a long time and it's just disturbed a bit of braid. Who knows? Having to retrieve the rig sort of 3 times. Right at bite time is not really the best, is it? So I have to sack off this bite time. The one to the pads has been very quiet and always there's been a few pin bubbles sort of popping above it, but yeah, as a whole, very quiet this morning, which is surprising because we've got a bit of cloud cover. It's not a bad morning, but I haven't seen anything. I've seen a diddle. So, and I was going to try and get my head down, but you can't, can you? You just got to keep looking for signs, and at the end of the day, I'm here to fish, not kip. But very quiet, guys. Very quiet.
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman.
So that red kite that was flying around just come down the right hand side of my bivvy and fucking nicked a bird that was sat on the pads. Took it up to that tree and started stuffing it. Now I've never seen a red kite do that before. I don't think it is in their nature to do that. Kites are more like sort of scavengers, aren't they? Sort of fly about and look for dead stuff. That's what kites tend to do. But must be getting hungry, that one. But yeah, that was awesome. So the bird that was in there is no longer. It's someone's breakfast. Nature. Fucking well cruel at times. But yeah, interesting that. I used to keep birds of prey. Another little thing you don't know about me. Yeah, I've had loads over the years. Started off with a pair of kestrels at home. Obviously when I lived at home with my mum and dad. And we had a Harris hawk, and my dad had a red-tailed buzzard. That was a big bird, nasty bastard, that one. That's a story and a half, that one. I'll tell you it really quickly because it's fucking brilliant. So yeah, my dad decided to get into falconry. We built these big sheds and these big aviaries, and he found this American red-tailed buzzard that needed a home. Now these birds are 3 pound, 3.5 pound bird. It's a big bird of prey, right? In layman's terms, it's a big bird of prey, feet the size of your hands. And this bird was proper neglected in this cage. Just sort of thrown the food, never cleaned out, never handled or nothing. And as a consequence, the bird was an evil bird, you know. That's what they get like if you don't handle them. They're just not having it, and they're dangerous. And anyway, my dad thought, yeah, we'll have a go at this, like first bird. Didn't go for something easy like a Harris or anything like that. No, I went for American red-tailed, like pretty much feral red-tailed buzzard. So it took him about 3 months to man it. Yeah, that's basically sitting on your hand, trying to get it to feed from the fist sort of thing. It's called manning. It's a process that gets the bird used to you, but this bird will only man to him. When you train birds like Harrises and stuff, once you've manned them, you've got to feed them to the fist. A properly trained bird will fly to anyone, but this one, forget it. My old man was the only one this bird would tolerate. Anyway, he used to fuck off, and he'd get phone calls 2 weeks later. Pete, your bird just nailed one of my chickens on this farm or whatever, and you have to go get it. But anyway, that's a different story. So anyway, my dad thought, yeah, see what I'll do. I'll decide to breed this bird, right? So that was in this big cage in the garden, and he had sort of like this mesh on it, quite a thick mesh. And this old boy come up. I remember it because it's snowing that day. And this old boy come up the path, and to have a look at this bird, so he could breed his male with it. And he walked straight up to the cage, and I kid you not, if this is the cage, he walked straight up the cage and went, where's this bird? And before he got then out, this foot come out the cage and smashed him clean on the fucking nose, right? The geezer fucking pulled away. There's fucking claret fucking dripping from his fucking nose. It's all going all over the snow. And the bird's hanging there on the cage like that. You want some, dear? And I remember it clean as day. It must have caned, do you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm not breeding my bird with that thing, and off he went down the path. That was like well short-lived, but you know, you should know better to put your face up to a cage, you know, a bird you know nothing about. But yeah, absolute animal, that bird. You go near it and it sort of got a bait at you and yeah, go at you with your feet. Fucking terrible fucking thing that was. But yeah, I've had a few Harrises and buzzards and an eagle owl and what have you. Love the old birds of prey, but they're a lot of work. Well, I used to take it fishing. I used to take my owl fishing. Used to sit down here, convert me van, so the owl had a perch in the van, all secure and what have you. And yeah, I used to take the buzzard and the owl fishing. Used to sit by my rods. No swans in your swim with that. Sat next to your rods, guys. Swans come round, giving it all large. Clock one look at Tarka, mate, and Tarka give it a snap, snap, snap with a beak and bit of a fluff up. Yeah, see you later. No more swans in your swim for that session. Yeah, great fun, just a lot of work. You can't really fish and have birds of prey. It's one or the other, which I found out, but I was missing the fishing and with the birds and that. It's a full-time job pretty much. In the summer you get away with it with the nights, but over the winter they sit there and do nothing. It weren't really fair in the end when I moved out and had one on my own. So I rehomed it. But anyway, that's another story, isn't it? So yeah, he stuffed his dinner and flew off. So nothing's really happening, guys. They've been deadly silent. I had another funky drop back thing. I don't know. Perhaps the bream have moved in. But I'll just get the feeling that the number of carp that was here are not present anymore. There's just a random bleep every half an hour sort of thing. So I was just thinking about just whipping round the orchard and just blowing a couple of rods to that nice little spot. I think I've got a couple of hours, I ain't got to get off. And I think a couple of hours in that spot in an orchard might be just a bit better use of time than just to sit here and hope something comes back. If I'd have had a few indications that they're still here, you know, some plumes coming up and what have you, perhaps a show, then it might entice me to stay, but I just think that they just moved off. I think they might have been here in the morning, but with me retrieving the rigs and that disturbance, I think they've just moved off. So I'm going to get these in and I'll meet you around orchard. So we're back round Rob's. 2 rods are out towards the far margin under the canopy. Seems to be a lot of noise around this side. Don't know what's going on. Some of my boys turned up on gubs. But I don't know whether they're working on the telephone mast or whatever, but there's some van doors banging and some clanking about. Dog walker shutting his mouth off as usual. But, I've actually seen a few fish in front of us, so you never know. You never know, guys. I'm going to leave them out for about an hour, see what happens. So might get lucky, might get amongst a big one, or we might get a bream. Who knows? But what I do know is that I've been a hell of a lot quieter than everyone else in this vicinity. So I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, I've been on here before when you be quiet as a mouse. Someone turns up, van doors slamming. You know, the carp are like masters of their environment, right? They spend their life in the lake. They know every inch of it pretty much, don't they? So anything out of the ordinary, like a van door shutting, they know about. You know, you get away with it once perhaps, just enough to, ooh. But I've been on there before, someone's turned up, bang, 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 smack, smack, smack. And then you get diddly 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 did when they're putting their alarms on and all that business. And it's like, we just alerted every carp in the vicinity of your whereabouts. Good luck with that one. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, fish that don't know you're fishing for them are easier to catch, aren't they? But most people foul before they start because of noise. But we managed to slip these out anyway. Well quiet with a boat. So yeah, we'll give them an hour and see what happens. So I've just had a little bit of a switch up. So over a period of time, it's become evident that the fish are more this side. I think it's the clanking and banging up there. So what I've done is there's a lot of fish sort of just in the middle, sort of milling about. So I swapped the lead over for a tiny little lead, pulled the bead up a couple of feet, made sure that the rig's like really slow sinking. I just whipped it out just past them and then sort of like gingerly whirled it back and just let it settle. And this one I've just plopped in the edge down there because I've just seen 2 fish feeding probably about 2 rod lengths out. But I don't want to bomb one on their head, so but it's a little clean spot down in the margin here. I've literally just lowered one in for a couple of balls of that mix over the top of it. So just a little bit of a switch up really. Let's see if we get on any better with that really. Yeah, God knows what they're doing up there apart from making a racket. We've got some activity going on over here, guys. This one coming up, look. That's mental. Yeah, I've had one plume so far, one definite carp, I would say. Come in and had a little munch and then buggered off, and it's just been a constant supply of jacuzzi bubbles since. But every now and again you get, you know, what looks like a bigger fish come in the mix. So exciting times. I love this business. That's a better fish. I find it kind of weird how I haven't put bait there. My bait's half a metre to me. It's as if they see the bait, they're interested in it, but like they haven't got the balls to go for it, so they just start eating silt somewhere else until they sort of pluck up the courage to come and get it. It's kind of strange, isn't it? But it happens too often. It's the same when I fished in the middle, but I plopped one in the middle earlier. Plenty of patches come up in and around it, but nothing sort of on top of it. It's as if I just need to get a bit of courage up first by eating nothing first. But there's no doubt about it. That was a bigger fish, that one. A fucking nutter. Right, guys, that's me. I've packed up. I'm out of time now. There's I was visited a couple of times by Carp, definitely, but there were more sort of drive-throughs than sit down and eat, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's definitely some carp to be had in this room today with these conditions. They are everywhere. But perhaps I played that a little bit wrong. What I should have done is come round, sat on my hands, address the situation, and what I should have done is just blown 2 choddies out into the weed, and that probably would have ended up in a pickup. There's too many fish there not to happen, but never mind. I still can't help feeling a little bit disappointed and a bit deflated by losing that definitely a big one last night. And that's what I mean about them vital seconds that you need just to get under control. Whatever happened with the bail arm, probably user error. Yeah, it was. It just cost me 2 or 3 seconds initially, and it just meant that it got one up on me. I went in sort of total control at the start, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it come off because of that and all the rest of it. So probably my own fault that I lost it, but it was softened by a lovely mirror in the middle of the night. So, and we come to catch them and we caught one, so we can't grumble. But as for today's session, that's me. Comes to an end. I've got stuff to do, so there you go. Another exciting session. It weren't too bad in the end, you know. We had one and all the rest of it. So that's me, guys. Thanks for watching. Always a joy to catch up, guys. And see you on the next one.